Welcome to the Wellness in a Chaotic World podcast. I'm your host, Cheryl Davis. Before we dive in, I wanted to note that as a health and wellness coach, I can support you in making sustainable lifestyle changes, tuning into your own wisdom, and building habits that align with your values and vision for your well being. I don't prescribe or treat health conditions, as I'm not a doctor or a mental health professional. Instead, I can walk alongside you as you create a healthier life on your terms. From time to time, I share conversations with guests. The views and opinions expressed by those guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect my views or those of anyone associated with wellness in a chaotic world. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and isn't a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always talk to your doctor or qualified mental health provider about any physical or mental health concerns. This is the Wellness in a Chaotic World podcast, a place where we're having conversations about what it really takes to live well in our unhealthy, chaotic world. I'm your host, Cheryl Davis. If you're beating yourself up over a bag of chips you ate in a stressed out frenzy, or you can't figure out how anyone manages to find the time to even think about wellness, you're in the right place. We talk about all of these things and more because, frankly, we don't talk to each other enough about what we're really up against every day. Let's change that right now. Hey everyone. First off, I want to say that this is officially the end of season 1 of Wellness in a Chaotic World. So far, this journey has been absolutely amazing, and I've met a lot of amazing people. I've enjoyed talking with each and every one of you. At this point, I would love to bring this podcast back for season 2. But I have to take a break and reassess all of the resources that have been going into creating it. Honestly, it takes quite a bit of time and energy to produce the content. And right now, there are some areas of my own life that I need to focus on in order to be my best self. So I want to thank everyone who has listened and supported the podcast. And I want to thank all of you for supporting the wider vision of taking back our health one person at a time. I will say that I'm very proud of the content that is here in this first season, and I'm very proud of the impact that it's made in people's lives. So for this episode, I thought I would go back through season 1 and share some of the best clips from the people that I've talked with. I hope you enjoy these clips, and I hope to be with you again soon.
To me personally, body neutrality is all about kind of taking that power back from all of the stimuli that we get that tells us that our bodies need to be changed, mainly for aesthetic reasons, mainly for very superficial reasons, and really treating our bodies more like the vessels that they are. Like our bodies allow us to do things. They allow us to get up each day and do our work, do our passions, and kind of focus more on that and like what our bodies can do for us, and less on that kind of like physical appearance, and that those outside voices that maybe say that your body isn't good enough because you are a certain shape or size, and focus more on what your body can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very important message. I think that as soon as you accept yourself for who you are, it opens up a lot of avenues for you. You get rid of all of the weight and the shame that no one needs.
Yeah, it's just not helpful. It's just not helpful because I think, and it's funny, in the wellness industry, a lot of the time, there is this very dangerous messaging used to kind of shame us about our bodies and tell us that our bodies are wrong, and that there's something that needs fixing. And I think that that is so unhelpful in terms of health and in terms of like getting people to a point where they feel comfortable enough in their bodies to actually partake in exercise and healthy habits, because if you enter it from a place of shame, you're not going to get where you want to go at all. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I saw a lot of some of the same behaviors over and over and over. And what I saw was people turning to their doctors for problems that they had medically. And I didn't see a lot of talk about prevention. I saw a lot, of course, at that time, but you have to understand that as a medical litigator, when there's a lawsuit, you don't just look at something in a vacuum. So you get the medical records for a person's entire life. And because you have to put pieces together. And so you see all of their visits to the doctors, all the doctors that they went to, all of their complaints over a lifetime, all of the diagnosis, all of the tests that they had. I mean, you see everything. And what I saw was people not being talked to about how to prevent illness, but being handed a lot of pills and tests to try to treat something when they did get sick.
Sometimes beliefs we have, just because we've had that belief for so long, that doesn't make it true.
Yeah,
just
right.
because we've believed it.
Right.
Yeah.
The stories that we tell ourselves about what happened to us or what is going on when someone is challenging you, or we really have to think about whether or not that story is true. And usually it's not, right?
Yeah. And, that's asking yourself that question, like, is this actually true? Is this something, you had asked me when one of my favorite books, and Loving What Is by Byron Katie. And because that's kind of about really being present and like looking at a situation and it's like, is this really true? Am I making up a story in my head about what's actually going on, or can I just look at what the actual facts are? And if we could all stop making up stories in our head, we would be a lot happier.
Yes, we would.
I do think awareness, that word that you used, that's like the absolute key to anything when you're trying to change. As soon as you're aware of something, then you can make a wise, a more educated choice. If you're unaware, then it's not our fault, because we're just walking through life depending on people putting food out for us, depending on our farmers doing the right things, depending on our government to do the right things. And that's where I like to flip the script, because we really can't depend on anybody but ourselves.
When I say we, I mean my family. We've experimented on ourselves with things that are safe to experiment on. We're not going crazy, but experimented on ourselves with, if we do this style of eating, do we feel better or do we feel worse? That kind of thing. And yeah, like I said, it served us really well. So as we got more into that, we really started to question where our food comes from and what's in our food. And that is what finally got my husband on board.
I had just been really feeling bad. And I went to my regular doctor. I had blood work done. I had them check all the things. I've been on thyroid medicine for 15 years. I've been on compounding hormones for about 4 years. And everything checked out. You're fine. You're fine. Everything's great. But I knew it wasn't. So that started me researching functional medical doctors, naturopathic doctors, just anybody in that field that can maybe do a deeper dive. You have to have patience with yourself. And I will say, I do like quick fixes. I want to wave a magic wand, snap my fingers, and feel better tomorrow. But sometimes it is a process. And so you have to have patience and just know that what is your end goal? What would you like to look and feel like 3 months from now, a year from now? And if you're still doing the same thing that you've been doing, you're going to feel and look the same or even worse, possibly in a year from now. But what if you could turn that around?
Asking you to practice awareness is like asking you to like make yourself lift your arm. Like it's just what you do. You don't have to like think about it. But if you're actually thinking about, hey, okay, make yourself do it. You just, you know what I mean? Like that's a really hard concept to get around. And so we don't focus on building awareness. What we focus on is our breath. And by incorporating a breath work practice, and so those are like that, the breathing is the roots of your tree. You're focusing on your breathing, but what you're actually doing is building awareness. And I always tell people that like you're going to find a sense of calm and a sense of relaxation and peace the minute you start breathing. One of the things that's really important to me is figuring out how to love yourself right where you are. And discovering your worth has a lot to do with self-love and accepting and loving who you are here right now in this moment. I usually just go to taking a breath and saying I'm enough, but actually I really think that even us not feeling worthy or if not feeling like we are enough or good enough or whatever, it comes from a place of insecurity. It comes a place from a lack of safety. And I think it's so important to just breathe and really soak in. I am safe. I am safe. It's okay. I'm safe and I'm enough. I'm safe and I'm worthy. I'm safe and I'm okay. And I think we forget that.
So with breath work, and there's two types of breath work. There's the down regulating breath work, which helps you go from chaos to calm, reducing anxiety in those moments. Different techniques you can do for that. And then there's up regulating breath work, which is circular, connected, conscious breathing, where you're slightly stimulating the system, but not that you're getting chased by a bear. You're just stepping into the stimulation of it. And with those, you can go on these beautiful healing journeys where it's like an altered state of mind to gain clarity. And like I found with my business, like so much clarity I've gained, some deep healing, some trauma healing. Those are kind of like the big ones, but really there's all the research shows like it boosts mood, it decreases blood pressure, helps with different respiratory illnesses. You can actually increase your lung capacity and volume by 5 to 15%. So if you're doing it for health benefits, there's different tests and stuff you can do for that. Improves sleep, improves like your emotions, anxiety, depression, grief, trauma. It reduces illness in the body, reduces inflammation. So it's like this endless list of like all the things that we want.
Yeah.
For like wellness and longevity.
Yeah. The first time I went to a yoga nidra class was when I had just started doing yoga, and they didn't really give an explanation. They just assumed everyone knew what they were getting into. I thought it was just going to be like a gentle yoga class. And she had us lay down at the beginning, and I was like getting really relaxed, but then I was getting anxious because I was afraid I was going to fall asleep. And I didn't know that we were going to be like laying down the entire time and not moving. So yeah, it's a form of guided meditation.
I think any two people who are open and receptive can have a great relationship, whether it's a marriage or a friendship or a working relationship. The struggle comes when we stop being open and receptive to learning new things.
Yeah. And if you think about long ago, right, like going back to homesteading, is we have gotten ourselves away from being in nature, getting, we talk about like the cleanliness, right? We don't allow kids to play in the dirt and all the things. And that really is all part of our whole ecosystem of how we live. And we've gotten so far, swung the pendulum the other way. We need to get back to a lot of that and just communing again, right? But with all of that technology, we can use it as our friend to take it one step further, right? Because we know we're supposed to be eating whole foods. We know we should be getting rid of toxins. Everyone's not doing it. But that part of it is, let's start going back to how people used to live a little bit more out of our modern industrialized, societies we're in. However, if you really want to take your health up that next level, you can take advantage of the technology today, and you can do very, very simple things, or you can do super advanced things. You can spend very little money, you can spend a ton of money, right? But knowing it's there for people, and what I love about it is it's helping all of us live the wellness journey for longevity, which ultimately isn't just how long we live, but how long we live well, right? I mean, the statistics, gosh, that, most of the healthcare dollars and most people spend the last 10, 20, especially women, 20 years of your life unwell. That, no way. I want to be like healthy, vibrant, active, joyful until I'm not, right? But
Right.
I don't want to spend years that way. And it's possible, but people have to believe it's possible and start doing the actions towards making it possible. Because if they just hope or think, it won't happen, and then it's too late.
So it's 6 steps to getting work done, and all work needs 6 steps. As humans, there's 1 to 2 areas that you're a genius. When you're doing this work, it fills you with life. There are a few areas that we'll talk about where you are highly competent and you can do them, but because it's not your genius, the more you do it, the more energy you give out. And then there's a few areas that are frustrating. They drain your energy quickly. And if you can't find people to partner with and you have to bear that burden, you're going to be exhausted.
And what I realized there is that it's that community that we so desperately miss. And then after my baby was born, and I think this is true, Laura mentioned, that community, it's like, well, you had a baby, good luck. And again, maybe there's some focus on the baby in postnatal yoga, but there's just such a tremendous gap in what is, for a lot of people, I think even harder. Pregnancy and delivery is hard, but then the postpartum is just disrupting in so many ways. And there is no real way to bring the mind back together, bring the body back together. So a lot of our self-care for the post folks, which is also where my heart is for the post folks, because post time goes on so much longer. Pregnancy and delivery is actually pretty short. Doesn't seem like it at the time, but those years and years after, of how to put the body back together, how to find your physical strength and your inner strength, how to find peace in these new roles that consume you. So my heart definitely lies in the post as well. For as long as that, I was kind of in the post, and now we've shifted a little bit now, but how the body's intelligence and focusing on, and even just learning to be aware of the body's intelligence can help move us and our students through these next really challenging phases is one of my big obsessions in this.
So recently I heard a woman, I can't remember who it was, and if I find her name, I will put it in the show notes. But she said something really interesting about this. She was basically saying the same thing, that balance is bullshit. And she gave the analogy of, instead, why don't we talk about making a smoothie every day? Because your smoothie that you make every day is going to be something different. Some days it's going to have more banana, some days it's going to have blueberries, some days it's going to be a green smoothie. So like each of the pieces that go into your life may be different every day. So, today I have a ton of work that I have to do for my business. I can't be with the kids, but then the next day I'm going to level that out and spend a little more time with the kids or my husband or my wife, etc. I thought that was an interesting way to look at that.
I really like that. And I think that what she's really getting at too is the perfectionism that we all play with and the rigidity that comes with that. So if we are, I can sit here all day long and put blocks in my calendar that like, for these 4 hours, I do this, but it never works out because I'll have some client who will slide in with something and I'm like, oh, I can't do this thing on the business that Kara and I have, or a kid's sick, or I'm sick. That's been happening too much too. Or I have a headache and can't sit at the computer all day long. Or just any number of, recently we had a family member who had an illness. And so that needed to be tended to. So I had to pull away from my computer so that Derek could go deal with that and be present with that family member. And there's all sorts of things that happen in those moments. And so I love that idea that we really can't do those things. And like, you can't be as rigid as 4 hours a day, which some people will. I've had coaches or people teaching business stuff who really put those things down. I'm like, that just doesn't work, where I touch my email at 8 a.m. and then I touch my Instagram at noon. And like, it just doesn't work when you have small children around and you don't have the help. So I feel like it's more of what you were talking about with this smoothie thing, is that sometimes it's going to work out that way where you can put chunks for everything in one single day. And sometimes it's going to be, you know what? I'm 12 hours at my laptop today. And then there's other days where it's like, I'm shutting it down, and I'm forcing myself to disconnect from it so that I can be present here and with my family. So I think that's really getting at that perfectionism, which we all need to get at that.
So that, my friends, is the end of season 1. If any of these great episodes were particularly helpful for you, or they struck a chord, please share them with family and friends. And I would encourage you to go to the website, wellnessinachaoticworld.com, and sign up for updates. There's a form there that you can fill out. And when I'm ready to get going on season 2, I will send out an update. Thanks again for listening. And as always, I hope you have a happy, healthy week. If today's episode resonated with you, our private Facebook group is a great place to dive deeper, ask questions, and share wins with people who understand. It's free, it's private, and you can join by clicking the link in the episode description. I hope to see you there.